Hey now, how y'all doing? Welcome to Ask Alma Live. Did you hear me? I'm so glad y'all here. I don't know what to do. Let me repeat myself. This is Ask Alma Live, and I'm your host, Ask Alma. Yes, indeed. This is so fantastic. Welcome. I'm so glad to see you. Let me see the comments. Let me know you're here. Come on in. Yes. I got to do my disclaimer. This is an entertainment advice column show. If you need some help, call somebody. Reach out to a professional. You won't be disappointed. Mary Lou, Marty Lords, how are you? Hair, braidedly, I know y'all, my locks. Hey, Charlene, that's my sister-in-law. Hey, girl, I'm glad to see you. I need you on the show. I'm gonna call you. We're gonna talk about that. So, speaking of who's on the show, y'all know I got my best friend Dee Dee, my ride or die. We all, always got to throw down together because actually her common sense and my common sense, it meshes sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't. But don't worry about it. Also on the panel, I got my dear friends, long. I'm gonna tell everybody 20 years plus, long. Fantastic friends, Kay and Alvin. Hey, you guys, how y'all doing?
Well, those of you who've been with us since the beginning know this is my sippy cup. It was a cup day, okay?
Yeah, I had my drinky drink before the show too. Okay.
Pull out the sippy cup for you.
Hey, Lois.
Hey, Lita.
I don't mean to advertise, but Costco. Costco in the house.
Tracy. Michelle, how you doing, Michelle? Tell your mama I said hi. Tina, we waiting on you to log on. Kay and Alvin, for those folks who weren't with us last week, why don't you guys do a little intro? Let everybody know who you are. Let's start with you, Kay. Introduce yourself to the people.
So I am Kay Laporte. I am a former USA Today-er from 150 million years ago. That's how I know this amazing panel of people. Currently, I work for the federal government. I am a proud graduate of Howard University, HU, you know. And I'm also a member of the Prince George's County of 100 Black Women. So I want to throw that plug in there too.
Awesome. You got your pearls on for the vice president, girl. All right.
Keeps my pearls on.
All right. Alvin, introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everybody. Alma, thank you again for having me back a second week. I thought the first show was just off the chain. So again, glad to be back with the Queens of Chat. Again, my name is Alvin King. I am the CEO and president of King and I Productions, a fashion production company here in Washington, D.C. I am a strong advocate of diabetes, and every year I produce a show called the Swirling Chords Fashion and Music Gala, and hopefully we will be able to do it soon. This pandemic put a halt on it, but we'll talk more about that later. But again, glad to be here.
Yes. Dee Dee, what you want to say? Anything?
Well, first I want to say that Alvin's bow tie is fabulous.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Fabulous.
Thank you.
And of course, Kay is always fabulous. And I think she was wearing pearls before the vice president made pearls popular.
I actually was.
If I remember correctly, Kay's always had on pearls. And of course, I told you all about my sippy cup. It's been an absolutely crazy day, but I'm here.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything because after the show last week, I have been hit up about my bow tie because, I love wearing bow ties. But since Alma has brought me out of retirement for 10 months, not putting on any clothes, I said, okay, a bow tie and a wooden one is the way to go. So this is my switch wood. So I can switch wood. I can, today it might be oak. The next week it might be something else. But This is my switchwood tie, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
You know what, y'all? I told y'all Alvin was
love
bad.
that.
Did I tell y'all Alvin was bad? Y'all didn't believe me, did you? What
Man.
other brother you know got a wooden bow tie that he can
Switch.
Okay, you can put your own wood to go. Okay.
I love it. And it always makes it perfect. Like it's never out of place.
Never again.
I
love
it.
Hey,
Absolutely.
before we go on, Alma, I gotta share something with you. Before we went live, I was trying to get down here and get ready, and on the news they said something about Idaho stop. Are y'all familiar with an Idaho stop?
What is that?
That's a law. That's a law that they're going to pass in Virginia for people who ride bikes. I'm a bike rider, where you don't have to stop at a stop sign. You get to a stop sign, you just keep going. And they call it the Idaho stop because it was developed in Idaho.
Because you had the right to be run over.
So I was getting ready to say. So let's all just get run over.
So you're just gonna go through the stop sign. So I just had that just freaked me. I almost fell down the steps. Idaho stop. You're gonna hear about it, but it's only
There
passed
are no cars in Idaho.
I'm telling you. And Alvin, I'm glad you told me about that. I'm not a bike rider, but I do jump rope, and I know you jump rope too.
I jump rope too, but I ain't gotta stop at no stop sign. I can stop on the porch and go in the house and sit down somewhere.
No, that's right.
Stop sign.
It's kind of crazy.
Promise us you will stop, Alvin.
No, we don't need you to stop because you can promise me you ain't going to Idaho.
I ain't going to Idaho, and I certainly ain't going to Virginia where people ain't stopped at no stop sign. Anyway, I just had to share that because I was like,
and D, you can't go to Idaho either. And now that I'm on the road, Kay, I'm preventing you from going to Idaho too.
Come on, y'all. Don't give Idaho a bad rap.
My bike is stationary, so you don't even have to worry unless the car drives through my house.
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah.
Idaho crazy hoe is more like it, very loose. That is too funny. Doreen, how you doing? Good to see you, Danielle. Oh, you know what else? One more thing I wanted to mention. Last week, it really was a blast. All of you who joined us, it just thrills me, and I hope you guys had as great a time as we did. It was a comment that came up, and we were mad deep in conversation. A woman. Well, we had the question, the guy who was honest enough to tell his girlfriend of 2 years that he no longer wanted to be with her when she found out she had stage 4 cancer. Reason being, he had been married over 25 years and he didn't want to go through that experience anymore.
Again.
Thank you. I didn't have a lot of sympathy for him because I felt like what she was going through was way more than his choices. But anyway, the panel was saying, hey, Gail, the panel was saying that they were really glad that he was honest. And we had someone comment and say that this was her fear as a survivor, that her partner too would one day want to leave. And I just wanted to touch on that a minute to say, I don't think she has to worry about that. I mean, all of us can make up our own minds and think for ourselves and love who we choose to love. And I just wanted to encourage her and say, don't worry about that. If he's still with you, you guys are together, you've got a lot of other stuff on your plate, and that should not be one of them.
And if I remember, she had already gone through the process and was in the healing stages.
Right.
And he hadn't left at that point. So
right.
Of course, he was going to stay with her. So I don't think she really needed to be concerned about that.
Yeah. So hang in there, girl. We are praying for you. Y'all, I'm just so glad to see y'all. I'm just staring at y'all for a minute. Everybody looks so good. I don't get to see people.
I know, right?
We all on lockdown, so I'm just having a moment. But let's get started. The first question is from our VVR. Her name is Ron, and I am grateful to her for volunteering to read a question this week. So let's hit it with video number 1.
Hi, I'm Ron Washington. This week's VVR, Volunteer Video Reader. Shout out to Norfolk State University, my alma mater. Behold the green and the gold. Yes. I am so excited to be a part of this show today. Let's jump to the question. Dear Alma, here's the short version of my life. I had a boyfriend for the last 2 years of college. When we graduated, we broke up. I wanted to get married. He didn't. Fast forward 5 years, he's married. He reaches out to me and asks if I'd like to join his marriage. I still love him after all this time, and I'm considering it. I haven't had a relationship since he broke up with me. Alma, what should I do?
Let me recap that real fast.
Yeah. Can you recap that?
Thank you, Ron.
There's an
for that. I
operative
really
word in there that I'm holding
Yeah.
on to.
Yeah, I need clarification.
So, this woman, her college boyfriend for the last 2 years that she was in love with, broke up with her. And 5 years later, she wanted to get married. He didn't. 5 years later, he got married. It looks like she's still brokenhearted and pining over him. She has not had a relationship since. And he has recently reached out. They've had some conversations. And now he has invited her to join his marriage. So it would be a wife.
A throuple.
Pretty much.
Let me start with the Arrington sisters. One says, "Oh no." The other one says, "Do nothing out of desperation," which should be followed by, "Oh no."
No.
Well, okay, I'm going to tell you that thruples are common.
From what I hear, Alvin,
Yes.
Thruples.
I wouldn't say common. I would say more than we suspect. How about that?
Well, I'm not going to pull a Nene on you and say I said what I said. I'm going to tell you that thruples are common. There's a lot more of them happening than people think. Now, I'm not advocating or for it, because me personally, it would not work for me. But there are couples, there are thruples, and that's why thruples is a word that I didn't just make that up tonight.
Oh, I thought you did, and I thought it was a good one. That's how much I know.
I didn't just make that up.
You made it up in my mind.
I did not make it up. Thruples, there's a lot of information on it for people who do it. But you got to be in the right head. You got to be in the right headspace, I think, to do it. For me personally, I wouldn't want to be in a throuple.
Somebody mentioned sister wives, but I think that is a commitment for the women agree to be with one man. This woman is.
Isn't it like
what is she agreeing to? Is she agreeing to be the known chick on the side?
That's how I read it.
Is that what a throuple is? So what's a throuple, Alvin?
She said nothing about the sister wives thing, because I think that's part of your religion too, right? That you believe your husband, that God said, yeah, he can have more wives or whatever. And it sounds to me like he's reaching out because he knows that she is still crazy about him. That's what I think. That instead of like
this comment, if not planned properly, someone may become the side chick, and that includes
well,
we'll be in the corner watching, going, how did this happen?
Well, how do you all feel about, like, say, these, like in a country where a king has, 6 or 7 wives? So,
okay,
you know what I'm saying? So,
country, honestly, and there was a king, and I had my own castle, and like, I don't know where the other queen wives live, but if I, as a queen wife, have my own castle, I really don't mind if you come by on Tuesday and Wednesday. Like, do I have my own swipe card? Do I have my own personal, like, Rolls Royce?
For some of those situations, as long as all of the wives have equal footing, it's okay, but you have to be able to do that. But that isn't what this sounds like.
Right. No, she's not saying sister wives. She's saying they're married and she comes in for him. It sounds like for him, which I would say to her, sleep with one eye open. Because if the wife hasn't invited you in,
right,
then
Right, but what does join the marriage mean? What does
Yeah.
join the marriage? Does that
What does
mean
that mean?
be a
stranger,
wife? Does that mean be a known chick on the side? What does join the marriage? Because
Right.
the marriage is with two people.
People.
The marriage is not just with him, it's
Right.
also with the wife. And
Right.
so what exactly is she joining?
Joining.
You know, because I don't know the holes that are in that particular boat, and I
Right.
may not want to get on.
Right. So
Why are you inviting me? This is
The clarification from our audience is he wants her to be the side chick,
right? Yeah, pretty
which
much.
is very different than you being a part of the marriage. He wants her to be the side chick because I would think that if she was throuple, I think is what you called it. I would think if the person was coming, the couple would have invited her as
couple
a
plus
couple,
one only.
as
Okay.
opposed to him showing up and saying, "Hey, you want to come join us?"
Right.
well, I think just giving the broad range or how she has given it to us, there has to be some discussion. Now if she go in there, if he called her and she says she's still in love with him and she just ran upstairs and packed her bag and went in and without talking and saying, okay, this is my terms and agreement, this is what I'm going to do, or asking the question, where do I fit in this? Because a wedding ring ain't nowhere in that equation. Okay.
Yeah.
So if just as fast as she came in, there's also she can leave the same way.
Right.
Okay,
because you know what? I could be wrong. And ladies, let me know. As a matter of fact, I want y'all to come for me if I'm wrong because I need to know. And I don't mind on the other side of 55 telling y'all this is what I think. A woman who even agrees to do that is mad and she don't like you. I don't care what nobody says. If you wife number 2, 3, 4, 5, none of y'all like each other. Tell the truth. Somebody tell the truth. All of y'all want to put something in everybody's drink. So, because it just, no.
Wait a minute.
Wait, Leah just said she knows 2 thruples.
Oh, wow.
Well, do I know them?
Maybe that's that generation. I don't know. Well, Lois says people don't normally get asked to be a side chick. It just happens. So the belief is that they really are asking her to join the marriage. But Pat says that she's not emotionally ready to be in this kind of situation. However it is, because she has been in love with him for years, and now she's going to walk into a situation where he's clearly in love with someone else because he married her. So she's going to be second, even if she's, at the table first. Yeah, she's going to be second. So she's not emotionally ready for that.
No. And she hasn't had a relationship since him.
She's not emotionally ready. But as Gail has said, Gail, I agree with you, Gail. Gail said that both of them, the man and the wife, want her. So the man and the wife are ready for it. She may not be ready for it, but the man and the wife have discussed it. And y'all, you know what?
And they're looking for somebody and they picked her.
I have been asked. So, and I'm gonna leave it at that. I have been approached.
I ain't
about
surprised.
I've been approached.
You've been asked by everybody.
Well, see, Alma, you're wrong. You're wrong. So I know that people are out there doing it, but the couples have discussed it, and it's not like the guy is going out on a whim saying, "Hey, no." They've discussed this, and so she knows all about that first love.
Yeah, but as a third party, I'm not sure I'd want to have had a relationship with either one of them.
Right.
If I was going to be in a throuple, I would want both of them to be relative strangers. I wouldn't.
You were good with that when you said that. It came right out. You didn't even, that was good, girl. She didn't stutter. But she's a school teacher and a journalist, so she knows how to pronounce words after a while.
My advice to her is that she needs to do her homework and know that those type of relationships do exist. And if she's going to get in it, she needs to be in the right headspace. She might not even be physically attracted to this woman. You know what I'm saying? To the woman. So there's the friction already starting right there. Right. So she needs to be in a space. So she needs to do her homework if she loves this man and willing to change her life to do that.
And what do you guys think about her not having a relationship since him? Like, is she
It
in the
just
right mind
seems
to even be in a relationship?
it
No.
seems like it's a desperation move on her part. She doesn't have anything. So this pitiful offer seems great to her. And
Right.
I'm just not feeling it.
That's right,
It
Ken.
is pitiful. How are you going to
It is.
offer half of me? Oh, that's all I deserve. I deserve
Right.
half of you because the other half goes to your wife.
Right.
And I'm just not feeling that any
And you,
woman should knowingly accept half of some tired old man that didn't want you to begin with, but now he's gonna come back and want you now. You know
5 years
what?
later. 5 years. He
Well,
shows up.
right.
5 years.
Five
well,
5
years.
years later.
she
Girl, I
got
put something in both of their drinks.
Oh,
Have them over for dinner.
I ain't going. I'm not. Her self-esteem might be a little out of whack too,
Yes.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
Her
Just a
self-esteem,
little bit.
just a
Yeah.
little
Just
bit,
a little
Considering
bit.
it
a little
after
bit.
being rejected by him and having not seen him for 5 years and having not moved on,
Right.
considering it, if he showed up, I mean, I don't know anybody here who would have a potential ex from 10 year, 5, 10, 15 years ago just show up on the step one day and it's like, oh, okay.
Excuse me.
Do not. Let me say this. Let me say this. Do not go back.
No,
If
don't
you
do
don't
it.
remember why you left him, go ask your girlfriend. She'll remind you.
If she
Do
will,
Thank you.
not
See? High
go
five, Dean.
back.
Fist bump.
She needs to be. She got to be ready.
Don't do it.
Mic drop. Bam.
Thank you. Yes. Because Sharon, me and you would have cussed him out. Tires would have been flat. A whole lot of stuff would have been going on. But anyway, yes, all of us seem to be in agreement, sweetie pie. No, you're
All
still
right, Dan.
Yeah, don't do
five
that.
All
years
right.
out of college, all of that. You still got a whole life ahead of you. And trust me, baby girl, it's a whole lot more going on out there for you than
yes.
Hey,
And
hey,
a man
Alma,
like all of you.
hey, you all. Danielle said if he was serious, the first wife would have co-signed the letter. The first wife may not be in agreement. Then what?
exactly.
Right.
Then
Right.
what?
That's why I'm
So
yes.
Yeah.
That's why I'm
I-
saying check that boat before you get on.
Right. And she may not know that they had a previous relationship. She may think
Right.
that this woman is fresh and new and joining the party and will soon find out that they are familiar, which could create a whole other situation.
Exactly.
I
Absolutely.
say hell to the nah, nah.
wait a
Don't do
minute.
it.
Carl says to think she's considering it without knowing the wife. I think the three of them should date first.
That's my brother-in-law.
Oh, Lord.
So I know
What's
he
your
knows.
brother-in-law's name? Carl.
Carl. That's Carl.
Carl.
Yes.
Hey, Carl. How you doing?
Oh,
No,
wait.
he ain't
Is
going out.
that the little prince's dad?
That's a
Alvin,
little.
is that
That
the
is
little
a.
prince's dad?
I told them as soon as I mentioned their name when they came on, Kate was going to go
We would
left.
know
Yes.
who they were. All right. Pictures. We want to see pictures. Anyway. Okay.
That
we're gonna wrap
little
up question
boy.
number 1.
That little boy gives me life. I
Yes, he does.
love the little prince. Oh
Yes,
my
he
God,
does.
I love him.
Okay, we go on to question 2, you guys. Let me see. I need to first thank Ken for doing this because I needed a guy to read a question from a guy, and I reached out to him at the last minute, and he was great about it and followed through. And so I got mad love for you, Ken. Thank you so much. Can we see question number 2?
Hi, my name is Ken.
Hey, Ken.
I'm the VVR for this week's Ask Alma. And I'd like to give a shout out to my alma mater, Alabama State University in Montgomery, Alabama. Go Hornets. Dear Alma, I read your column and appreciate your kindness. I've got a serious problem and thought I'd reach out to you for some heartfelt direction. I'm a successful pastor leading a congregation of over 5,000. I thank God for my life, my church, and my family. I love my wife, my kids, and my congregation. But here's the situation. I put on weight over the past 8 years I've been married. I'm sure it's because I spend so much time taking care of everyone else except myself. And of course, most of my fellowships end with me saying grace for a great meal. It's a very big part of our commitment to community. My problem is my wife is verbally abusive and it's cutting to the core. I counsel couples all the time, but I can't seem to fix what's happening in my own home. Please don't give my name or where I'm from. I don't want my congregation to know what's happening here. Now that we're in a pandemic, my wife has become intolerable with her words. Basically, she says I'm overweight and no longer attractive to her. She calls me names and berates everything I do. She says if I can't take charge of my weight, how can I take charge of my flock? I have no one to talk to. Being a minister can be a lonely life, as you know. Please help. Do you have any advice for me, Alma?
Okay, recap on this. And I actually, remember I told y'all last week that I Googled one of the emails that I received because
I'm not telling you to stop doing that.
I know, girl, you know me, can't help it. Journalism, can't help it. This was a really nice man who is the pastor of a very nice church with pictures of his very cute family on their website. I will say that. But I felt for him because my dad, everybody who knows me knows that my dad was a Baptist minister. So I do understand that fine line that you walk and looking for somebody that you can trust. My father did have a very good friend, two men who were very good friends of his, and they did speak and counsel each other, and that was a blessing. But this guy, we talked a little bit back and forth because you know, men, you got to pull it out of them a little bit. But basically, bottom line is his wife is being abusive. She is calling him names you would not believe because he has put on weight and she doesn't like it. Abuse is abuse, wherever it comes from. But this particular person happens to be a pastor who has to make his choices delicately and may not have the support that he could use during this time to get through this particular problem. So, panel, what kind of advice would you give to this reverend brother?
Is there something in the Bible that says that you should not, first of all, take care of yourself? Because first and foremost, I feel sorry for him. Anybody who abuses him, but he has to take care of himself for himself. I mean, he has to take, is there something that's so much a part of his religion that says he shouldn't care for his health? Because if he's overweight, he might be unhealthy. Something might be going on. Diabetes, high blood pressure, heart failure, all that. So he needs to take care of himself. I'm gonna let you all, because I need to digest some of this about his wife. So I'm gonna let you all go there on that. He needs to take care of himself.
Yes.
So the weight, my first question is, what's causing the weight gain? Is it pandemic? Because if it's pandemic, a lot of us, unlike Alvin, a lot of us who, no, you too.
I got on stretch.
I'm just trying to keep up. I don't even care if I lose so long as I don't gain.
Right.
So why is he gaining the weight? Right. And that's a question for himself. But regardless of her reasoning and rationale for the abuse is abuse. I really don't care what's prompting it. I don't care if it's his weight that he thinks is causing this. Those might be the comments that she's making, but is that really what's driving her to be abusive? How long did they say that they had been married? I don't remember if it said.
I don't know if they said, but
I don't think they said that.
Daniel said abuse may be impacting his weight, and I was thinking that in the letter it sounded like that she was abusive before this weight issue,
and it's gotten worse.
She's always been abusive. When I was listening to the letter, I thought hearing T.D. Jakes speak at one of the NABJ conventions, and one of the things he said was that he guarantees that all of his pastors has a partner who they can speak to in confidence. And so I immediately thought, for this gentleman, perhaps if he doesn't have someone in his church, another pastor, he can do it. He should seek therapy.
Right? Because yeah,
Lois said that.
If he was,
She said he needs counseling.
He needs counseling. Even if, if he was a truck driver, if he was in any other profession, he would need someone to speak to about this treatment. And it doesn't sound like, I don't think the abuse, it doesn't sound like the abuse started when he gained weight.
Right.
It's just it was easier, and now that they're in this pandemic, she has weapons to use against him. Now that he's bigger, she has more reason to be abusive to him.
Or she can just link it to something that is obvious. If she was abusive before and it's just gotten worse now, then we're just talking degrees of abuse. Nobody should have to put up with abuse, no matter what's driving it. And she needs counseling as well. But for his own personal well-being, he needs to be able to have some tools in order for him to try and help deal with this situation. I don't think that it would get better if both of them don't go into counseling, because if he just figures out how to deal with it, that doesn't stop the abuse.
Oh, right. That's a good point.
He's also dealing with the fact, he said that he doesn't want his parishioners to know what's going on. Mm-hmm. And first of all, Alma, I didn't know that you were a PK. All right, girl. But he's concerned so much about what people think. And I mean, yes, he's a minister, but what he's going through, people go through all the time. It's not like ministers are isolated from going through that. And if he doesn't, going back to Kay's point, therapy has to step in somewhere. He needs to talk to somebody. Somebody needs to know that this facade that he's putting up right now
Alvin, you make a really good point that he doesn't want anyone else to know. That is one of the very early signs that somebody is being abused, and they don't know how to deal with it. They actually don't seek help or assistance because they are ashamed, and they sometimes feel that it's their fault. The mere fact that he said she's being abusive because I gained weight means that he's taking this on, and it has nothing to do with him.
As Tracy says, I'm sorry, Tracy.
No, go ahead.
Speaking to what you said, Kay, Tracy says that people are not equally yoked, and even though they know it, a force of relationship, that they knew it was doomed from the start. So some people get married for status. Counsel is warranted. So perhaps exactly what you said is he's taking on this. He's taking on the abuse because he thinks, I guess, because he deserves it, or
First of
why
all,
is he making it? Why is he making the rationale for her actions something that he did? And that's what happens to people in abusive relationships. They make it their fault.
Well, I know this probably is another topic, but that's also in church. People also marry for convenience. And so there's a lot of that. I'm not saying please all my church family. I'm not saying everybody get married in church, that you got married out of convenience. I'm not saying that. Hallelujah. But what I'm saying is a lot of these arranged marriages that happen, that, again, another talk show, but that happens in church. And she might not have been happy from the start. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, this didn't just start. And if we could probably talk to him further, my question would be, well, when were you happy in the relationship? When was it bliss?
But when you're in a relationship, and I'm curious as to what you guys think about this. When you're in a relationship, don't you have an obligation to take care of yourself and look a particular way?
You better. The same way. Whatever you dare to get me, you need to keep doing to keep me. Okay.
Right. Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
That's my motto. And if I have to walk that line, then you should. But he has to take care of himself
Yes,
He has
but
to take-
Alvin, that said, you would not abuse your partner because there's
Right.
a shift in what
No.
that expectation
No.
is.
Never.
You would have a conversation about it. You would
No.
say, let's go work out together.
No.
You know, let's just figure out a way that you can be healthy as well. You wouldn't just start calling your partner names because they
No.
don't look like they looked when you met them.
I would never do that. And after
Never.
32 years of counseling, being in therapy, I would never do that. I
Right.
would never. So, and he needs therapy.
But one thing about you, Alvin, that I like is you like to remain super fine for yourself, which I think we all need to have a little bit of that.
Well,
Okay.
I'm
I think
a
that's
Gemini.
why we're all on the panel.
Yeah. I'm a Gemini. I don't have a twin. I am the twin, okay? I don't have a physical twin. But no, I think, again, there's some self-hatred going on with him that he doesn't want to take care of himself. And yes,
Or
we're
is
talking
he
about
busy with his congregation? Really? I mean, maybe he is totally. I'm sure he got Bible study. He has, the sick and shut in. He has, Sunday school. He has the business of the church. He has weddings. He has funerals. He's busy.
you got to
Pandemic.
make a doctor appointment. You got to you got an assistant make you a doctor appointment.
Key assistant. Now that I think. Because we are talking about abuse and all that, but when we're peeling back layers,
Right.
that would be probably the first thing he should look into, an assistant.
Yeah.
Because if he is too busy to take some time to make his health a priority, then you're right. It's too much. He's juggling too many balls. So that means you, as the pastor, as the leader of the church, you have to be comfortable enough to get someone else in to help you. And I think that actually is a little bit of the problems that some of the pastors have, that they want to be in everything and not allow people to help them.
You, Alma. Robin Smith is agreeing with you because I love the way you guys go back and forth. But he has to drink from the same cup he wants for his parishioners. Mm-hmm. Pastors beckon us to come and share with one another. He has to find someone to talk to, but he also has to have the same expectations.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if he was on meds that increased his weight, should she still feel that way?
Right. It could be many different reasons, but I do think that having someone else to assist you, because I remember I had to go to my father and talk to him about that. I mean, God rest his soul. He has passed away now, but I can remember saying, you need some help, because I had become his driver, which was fine with me because at the time, I think I may have been 16 and just learning how to drive and wanted a, driver's license anyway. And how he balanced that was to say, hey, Alma, come with me. If you drive, if you come with me, I'll let you drive. Okay. So we were going, from house to house to house. And it was a lot. And as a teenager, I remember getting in the car saying, how do you can't do this. Like, you need help with this. But then you run into the problem that some of your congregation, they don't want your assistant. When grandma passed away or when my husband passed away, I want you to show up. And so, you have to be comfortable enough in your own skin as the pastor to say, the church is growing, thank God, and we're all grateful for that. But we need to have the deacons or whomever step up to the plate and help with this a little bit, because it can be overwhelming. And his church is large. Remember, he said that it is large.
Because however the weight came to be, the response shouldn't be from his spouse to treat him badly,
berate him,
his medication or too much work or any one of those things, and he may get ridiculed by a multitude of people, but it shouldn't be coming from his spouse.
No, ever. And a lot of times that's why I say the disclaimer up front that this is an entertainment advice column show, because I think with your first 2 seconds of abuse needs to be met with, what did you say? Because for me, part of that abuse stems from being a bully. And a lot of times, if somebody finds out that you will allow them to bully you, then they continue to do it. So if you can,
Sharon, who said early on, drop that zero.
Exactly.
Since you care if it's a pest or not. Darlena says, okay, he might be a busy pastor. He needs to take time for himself as he does for his church members. He has taken on so much that he has forgotten about himself. His wife needs to sit him down and talk to him and not at him.
Well, she's not capable of that.
Right, and she doesn't know how to do that. She's past that.
You know, but as far as advice for him, there's several different things that he needs to do at this point, you know. And seems like most of it centers around him talking to somebody about what he's going through and not holding it in.
Right.
And he needs that anyway. Like even with the health, with his health, with his weight and all of that, just the weight of the church and his life.
Right.
I pray that he will find a confidant and be able to have a friend. Like my friend Dee Dee. Anyway, okay, we're gonna wrap up question number 2 because Pastor, like, we really care about you. And we want you to get professional help.
Yes.
Get the professional. I appreciate you writing to me. Thank you. But you really should reach out.
One comment that Kim added at the end was, we teach people how to treat us.
Absolutely.
So,
right.
He needs to,
because I know how to call some names. So I would teach you how to do that, but that's not really how you should address this situation. So talk to a professional. Okay, you guys, you ready for question number 3? So question number 3, before it pops up. Question number 3, our VVR did not introduce herself. So I would like to take a minute and introduce our 3rd VVR of the night. Her name is Kim. She's from Maryland, and she's my pumpkin, my grandbaby's other grandmother. So her daughter is married to my son, and I needed her to take care of this for me, and she did, and I'm grateful. So thank you, Kim. I appreciate it. Here we go with question number 3.
Alma. I'm 48 and single. I have had a great life with good friends and loving parents who are both now deceased. I travel for work, which is why I haven't settled down, married, and had children. Over a year ago, I was home for a family funeral, and my cousin asked if we could spend more time together. I said yes, and we agreed I would spend the weekend at her house. She is married, my age, with 3 teen children. I thought it was a great idea. We grew up together, and it was long overdue for us to catch up. The night before I left her home, my cousin said she wanted to share something with me. She showed me some papers she had found among her own father's things after he died. These papers proved that I was not my parents' biological daughter. Her father and my father were brothers. My father has been dead for 4 years, and my mother for 6. I have been walking around in a daze. I was never told I was adopted. I don't know who I am. How could my parents hide this from me? I am so confused. I can barely function.
Thank you, Mimi. That's what Ava calls her, Mimi. She calls me grandma. She calls her Mimi. That's because she's a lot younger than me. I got gray. But anyway, so the recap, this woman found out she was adopted, hanging out with her cousin, found, going through some stuff. You know how it is, family basements. Nobody talks about anything, but there's some boxes down there and some Bibles with some books and some pieces of paper. She found out that she was adopted. Her parents have passed away, so she can't have a conversation with them. And she's devastated because she feels like any one of us would. That is a conversation that should have been had. Maybe, though, because I actually had a little bit of sympathy for her parents. But the short story is she was adopted. She didn't know. So
there's a phrase that says take it to the grave. Right. And her parents perfectly okay with taking it to the grave, and that's where it should have gone and stayed.
Stayed. I know what, because the cousin, really, who was she to say it to her knowing that she didn't know? Because see, now that for me too, I'm always leery of the person who's bringing me the badass news. Why you got to be the one to bring this to me? It's a reason for that too.
Right.
Well, I think
I actually had that
laid it
happen.
out. She laid it
I
out.
had that happen with someone in my family where the child was not adopted, but the father was not the child's father. Nobody cared.
Right.
Everybody treated the child like family until one person decided, just unto themselves, that they had to just start some. Sometimes it's just done out of just pure viciousness and meanness, but it still impacts that person, right? So, and since she doesn't have her parents now to go back and have that conversation, she's having that conversation with herself. She's asking the questions and she's answering them. And she's not ever going to come up with the right answer because she doesn't have the people there to talk to. So, it's going to be easy for us to sit back and say, just let that go. Was she loved? Did they treat her like their child?
Right.
If they treated you like their child and you were loved, then you were their child. I know, and I'm really fortunate. I know in my friend circle at least 12 people that were adopted, that grew up in an adopted home. And I only know 2 that have tried to find their their birth parents.
Really?
Yeah, I know a ton of people that are adopted. And in one of the cases, when I found out the young lady was adopted, I didn't believe her because to me, she looked just like her mom. I was like, how is that possible? You look just like your mom.
Although my mama used to say, you feed them, they favor you. If you're loving and feed them, they favor you.
and I'm agreeing with that. It's going to be hard
it sounds
for her
to me
to get past what she's going to consider is duplicitous. It's going to have been a lie. She's first going to feel like my whole life was a lie. Nobody told me this. But at the end of the day, did you have a good life? Did you have good parents? Did they love you? If you can answer yes to all of that, you may want to let go of how you became their child. Is that really that important? But she may be in counseling with the preacher.
I think part of her issue is that she has no family of her own. Like she's single, she doesn't have children, she doesn't have, so she's going to look at this and face this alone. And maybe she can find her birth parents, maybe she can find out information, but you always run the risk of the birth parents not wanting to be, not wanting to have a relationship and all those kinds of things. So I imagine that she just feels like she's by herself. Because she at least had the memory of her parents, and now, like this cousin, I want to beat her.
That's what I'm thinking. She's going to get the beat down.
That's where I am right now, because part of my healing would be to go to that cousin and say, why did you do this? Say this to me. You need to lay out in front of me why you felt that you should have done this, because you sitting around here with 3 kids. You ain't been nowhere. You ain't done nothing. But I'm not married. I go where I want. Look at me. Look at your life. Look at my life. But yet you going to throw this on me. Right. And so I first, for my own healing, if I were her, if she thought like me, I would sit with that cousin and say, look, you told me this for a reason.
Right. What are you trying to tell me?
What do you look, my life has been happy thinking that these were my parents. And you thought if her only comeback would be because I thought you should know. Okay. Well, now I would unleash every.
Perhaps there's more to the story. Maybe they're siblings.
See what Lois said? Lois said she's seen this happen.
Protecting her.
Might have just been trying to protect her.
I thought that too.
But in that protection, they didn't tell her. They left this earth with her believing that she was there, but their protection was to never tell her.
Yeah.
Right. So
can you see that? What did Carol say?
Carol says, I did a DNA and found out that my grandfather wasn't really my grandfather. And we went to his grave he went to his grave not knowing nor did my father. However, I struggled with my identity. It's a connection on a whole nother level.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess,
Yeah.
when you
Okay.
don't have it.
It's just kind of hard to give a person who's going through that, or advice. I mean, I know we're not therapists or anything like that, but because I've never walked in those shoes, it's really hard to say, forget it, or, don't think about it. Like Kay said, your life has been great. Reflect on that. I kind of I'm mad at the cousin.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
mad at,
Yeah,
I'm
me
mad,
too.
I'm mad at
Me
the
Yes.
cousin.
too.
I'm mad
Yeah.
at the cousin.
Yvonne
Yeah.
says first she needs to grieve the second loss of her parents. There is the original loss, and then there's the loss of learning the truth, then seek counseling and decide how she wants to proceed with this knowledge.
Yeah.
Because now you can do DNA. I
Yeah.
mean, if you want to find out, can't
Yeah.
you? Can't you do DNA and find out? Like, I know you can find your family tree, and I don't know what that means,
What do
but
you call it?
can they
Genealogy?
can they narrow it down? Can they narrow it down to your parents?
Oh, I'm
Well,
sure
maybe
with a
this
swab, they
maybe
can
this
find out.
all-knowing cousin has some
Yeah, what
additional
does she know?
information that she can provide.
Well, then maybe
She
there was
providing
something in that
information,
box.
right?
Maybe the
So
box
she's
had
being so
something
daggone helpful.
to help her out. Right.
Say that again, Dee. What'd you say?
I'm sorry. Maybe the box that she found had something else in it that could help her
Right.
out. But she
Right.
shared a little snippet of what she found. She could have found some other things. Maybe they left her $1 million, and shared that as well. I mean, if you're going to share it, share it. But
That's what I'm saying.
the genealogy, you have to be, if you're going to do that, you have to be prepared for what you find.
Right.
Sometimes
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
better just not to ask the question,
Right.
because what happens when you discover things that are, I mean, I know especially for health issues, I wish I knew more about my paternal grandparents, because my father had some issues that I didn't learn about until much later in life. And if you have children, certainly you don't want to spread that.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be real mindful about the things that you may learn. So you have, there's a whole nother level of counseling for that before you start asking those questions.
Well, she
Right.
better not turn on This Is Us tonight. That's all I can say. Okay, and she'll be laid out on the floor. She'll want to look at This Is Us.
Maybe says, what does the uncle have to say? Maybe
The cousin told her that the cousin said that she found the information in the box after her dad died.
Okay.
So the uncle is dead too.
See, I want to meet the cousin. The cousin, I just want to get. I can't get the cousin out of my head. The cousin is
father
in the throat.
Well, unfortunately, if you spend a lot of time with relatives, it doesn't sound like she spent a lot of time with her. But when your cousin that you know all your life starts to come at you with a sentence, you're like, oh, wait, no, we're not doing this. And
Right.
you stop it. But she went for a vacation that she thought was going to be pleasant,
right.
and got this.
Right.
And
Railroad.
she says, unfortunately, I went. She probably.
I don't know, Gail, because because she says some other family member may have info. I wouldn't even want info from other family members at this point, because all that is hearsay,
Right.
or what they think, and you don't have the person still alive to clarify.
That.
Because I hear things sometimes, about my mother, and it's like, well, that's not what my mother said, or that's not what my father said to me. That other people are remembering differently.
Right.
But I do think, since technology is out there where you can do a swab and find out who your biological parents are, that that's amazing to me that you can do that. But like Dee said, it's almost like if you're trying to find your husband, find out if he having an affair, you got to be ready for what you might find out.
You
My
gotta
mother's
be
83 years old. She is the gatekeeper of all the secrets. And very many of them will be going with her when she leaves
to her grave. Exactly.
And she has, as an adult, she has shared things with me, the light stuff. And its purpose is if something else happens, but certainly not for me to start sharing with people things that they didn't know. I think.
But why does a person Why does somebody feel like it's their responsibility to bring you that kind of
It isn't.
information?
Well, and I just went through that. I posted earlier right before I moved out of my house. I had some construction done. I found a box that my mother gave me when she died 30 years ago, and I never opened it. And when I opened it, I found some things that I had to call my eldest nieces to tell them, look, you all have to stop what you're doing and talk to me right now. Because there's some things in this box that my mother left. Well, I think she wanted me to know. She left them with me.
Right.
But all my brothers are deceased, and there was information about them. And I've gone back and forth with my family about this subject right here because I couldn't tell everybody everything that was in that box because it was because everybody's passed away and I just happened to be the person who found it. So you just kind of gotta live with what you've got.
I did find an insurance policy in my uncle's box. It was left to me that I did not know about. So there was a definite bonus of going through.
I wasn't so lucky. Okay.
Right. But for the most part, there aren't things. The reason that they're in the box is because it isn't something that is to be shared.
Yeah.
Right. We want it in the box.
Left it to you, Alvin, probably because she knew that you would guard it. If she had left it just in the house or somewhere random, Lord knows who would have gotten it and what would have happened with that information. So
you're absolutely right.
I like what Tracy says that maybe the uncle, maybe they were hoping the uncle would tell her before he died, and he didn't. He chose not to do it, and that's a tough place to be in. I don't know if I would want to be the one to tell a person either. Like, I talk a lot. Everybody knows that I talk a lot, but I am not one to be the bearer of bad or sad news.
Right.
I just don't. If I don't see where it will enlighten your life or bring you joy or be a blessing in any kind of way, I'm gonna forget about it, because to me, that's just news can't nobody use.
Well, I think Danielle sums it up for all of us, where she says, "Hurt people hurt people." You do it. Do it with humility and consideration. This may mean omitting information.
Absolutely.
Hurt people.
Hurt people.
Get that cousin. That cousin should be on notice.
Right.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So I do wish the best for her, because again, I have no idea what those shoes feel like. You know what I mean? So I hope the best for her in her quest to find who she is.
And the other thing that I wanted to mention, which really doesn't have anything to do with it, but I think the organization for people who are adopted is called Alma. Like, the acronym is ALMA, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, you know. Like, what does that mean?
Get that plug. Well, if for sure, people should remember that you said that. Okay. They should not forget. They should not forget that.
Exactly.
No.
So, Alvin, KD, our hour is up.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I'm so glad to have spent this evening with you guys. It was amazing, as always. Amazing as always. Thank you so much, Alvin. Thank you so much, Kay. I hope you're back in here. I know you had a power surge. But I do want to remind our audience, who I absolutely love, you know, if I could have all of y'all over to the house, that's all I'm saying. You know,
we need a big old. We're gonna take over the mall. But parents will meet on the mall and go outside again.
That's right, Columbia Mall. You guys can find us
like the National Mall.
That would be even better. That would be even better. The National Mall in DC. You guys can find this show and past shows on Facebook. You guys can find it not on Twitter, because it's live when we're doing it, but it's on YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Alma, the acronym is the Adoptees Liberty Movement Association.
See, it's Alma. Isn't that something?
Alma.
Please, I need some volunteer video readers. I had to reach out to my family this week. So please, if you are willing, let me know. I would appreciate it. Kay, Alvin, maybe y'all can read a question. I need it. Love you guys. We'll see everybody next week, Tuesday at 7, right here. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you, Alma.
You're welcome.